You know what we need more of? Nothing. Less. I want to bring to you today an interesting book review from a guy that maybe you've never heard of. This guy is named Joshua Becker. He wrote this book called Uncluttered Faith, and he's talking in this book about how minimalism and the Christian faith intersect, how they collide. And once I saw that he was writing this book, I have been a Becker fan or follower for a little while. I listened to one of his other books on audiobook, and I am a big fan of his writing style and also the message that he gives. And it's a message we don't talk about enough, and that is that we have enough. So welcome to not another book or Bible review. My name is Cam Hyde, and I am bringing you an uncluttered book review today because I want to talk to you about minimalism and about how that overlaps with your faith. The subtitle of this book, Own Less, Love More, and Make an Impact in Your World. And so Joshua Becker, he is the best-selling author of The More of Less and The Minimalist Home, and he's the founder of Becoming Minimalist, a website dedicated to inspiring others to find more life by owning less. And so, like I said, I followed Becker for a while. I have followed him on Facebook for quite some time. I've watched quite a few of his YouTube videos. And so I actually reached out to him and asked him if I could review this book. And I have read it cover to cover. As you can see, I've got bookmarks and notes and everything because he brought out stuff in here. I'm a student pastor. I've been to seminary. I have done a lot of Bible study in my life. And he brought things out of especially the New Testament that I had never thought about before in this book. And so in this book, he is going to do his best to convince you that Christians should be minimalist. Why is that? Because we're not living for this world. We're living for a future world. We're living for a future kingdom. Jesus says over and over again, store up your treasure in heaven where moth and rust don't destroy, where thieves can't break in and steal. And where your treasure is, that's where your heart's going to be. And so Becker is going to tell you in this book, your heart needs to be focused on the kingdom. And if you're focused on accumulating more and more stuff, then your heart's going to be here. And man, it was very convicting for me. Very convicting for me in a lot of these things. He gives some staggering statistics in this book about Americans and our collection of stuff. Even in other countries, he talks about God and Gucci, Christians who love designer wear, right? And he talks about his own story, his own journey. He used to be a pastor until he started talking more and more about minimalism and how it changed his life and how it can change other people's lives. I love this book because minimalism and Christianity truly do go hand in hand. And so often we can be so focused on ourselves, even as Christians, American Christians, because our culture is telling us over and over to consume. And then you've got other minimalists out there who aren't believers, right? And so they're doing minimalism for totally different reasons than because of faith. And I love that Becker brings faith into it. I will tell you with this book is 204 pages or a little more. I felt like it could almost be two books. I felt like he could have stopped halfway and almost written two books with this book, but he gives us one in just a larger package. And it's a great book. And so listen to this quote. This is a problem not just in America, but wherever Christians are enjoying affluence. One study of Christian teenagers in the South American nation of Chile One study of teenagers in the South American nation of Chile and their attraction to luxury goods concluded, simply put, religious youth consumers love God, but they also love Gucci. I think we can all relate to that tension. Like I said, loving God and Gucci, we can find ourselves going after things in this world. And let me read for you a quote that was powerful to me. When he's in the chapter A Life Without Greed, he says, greed doesn't always look like we picture it. Sometimes it just looks like how everyone else is living. That statement, I have said it over and over again since I read it, because how true is that? Our culture, even our Christian culture, has made it normal to love stuff, to want to acquire more, to build up our own kingdom. How true is it that we sometimes just compare ourselves to everybody else and we think, well, I'm not that bad. When in reality, we should be comparing ourselves to the God of the Bible and what he says. I will tell you another part that stuck out to me in this book is he's talking about John the Baptist preparing the way for Jesus. And John the Baptist is telling people what they need to do to be prepared for the one who's to come. And he tells people to be content with what they have, to quit taking from people, and to give away things, give away possessions. And I had never read it like that before. But John the Baptist, in his preparing the way for Jesus, he doesn't say, you know what, read the scriptures more, go to the temple more, pray more, fast more. He doesn't say any of those things. He says, be content with what you've got. And man, when Becker explained that, I was like, wow, I had never thought about it that way before. And so this book, maybe you've never thought about minimalism, maybe you've never thought about having less, and he even goes into later on the benefits for your life and having less, the freedom that you're going to find, and he uses the Lord Jesus words in that. But maybe you've never thought about those things, and this would just be a great starting point for you to pick up this book, read Uncluttered Faith, and think about, how does God actually intend for me to spend my money, to steward my possessions, and what might my abundance of possessions be holding me back from? All great words, all things that I read in this book. Fantastic book. Can't recommend it enough. I'm going to give you links to Becoming Minimalist in the show notes, as well as a link where you can pick up this book. I think that you would greatly benefit from checking this out. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, share it with somebody else. You can follow me over on Instagram at RealCamHyde. You can buy me a coffee. Wouldn't mind that. Venmo's down there as well. Until next time.